So when I was starting off how to code, I could barely do more than 1 hour, maybe 1.5 hours of work at a time. I'd get super dizzy, I'd get like a big headache, and I never was able to get past that 1.5 hour mark for many reasons: laziness, pure like just tiredness from learning new concepts. And at the time, I was truly disappointed and I was really upset at myself. But I eventually found a way to increase that number to the point where right now I'm coding for 4 hours a day easily. I'm learning so much more and I'm getting much more done than the average coder. So that is what this video will cover: how to code for longer hours without feeling more tired. The only way you will be able to code for longer hours is if you find the sweet spot between anxiety and boredom while learning concepts in programming. This is what's also called the flow state. By being in the flow state, you're able to take in more information, do more work, and overall have a higher level of concentration on the task you are doing. So let's go back to that definition of between anxiety and boredom. When you're learning a concept that you don't understand and you're totally lost, how do you feel? You probably feel a little anxious, lost, and just want to get out of there right away, right? On the other hand, when you are bored or you're learning something that's really easy, let's say it's HTML and you've done HTML before and you're doing it again, then you'll also be in this weird mode of thinking where you're looking at the time, you're like, oh, I'm super bored, I don't want to do this. And that is also just as bad as the anxiety part. So your goal, and what this video will cover, is to find that sweet spot where you're learning hard concepts that are challenging you, but they're just doable enough so you can like focus on it, but also enjoy it at the same time. You must be in the flow state in order to be more productive, get more done, and not feel time at all. A good way to find this sweet spot is to find out what you're working on right now and do just a little bit more that's a little bit more challenging. So for example, let's say you're learning, I don't know, HTML. Do something within HTML. Maybe you don't know how to do lists or forms yet, and it may be a little bit anxiety provoking, but in the back of your mind, you may know that you're able to do it with simple searches or whatever. Also, if it's more advanced stuff, like maybe you're good at JavaScript, but you don't know React, start learning a little bit of React, do a little bit of projects, challenge yourself a little bit at a time. By focusing on the tasks that are challenging yet doable, your output becomes infinitely larger, and this is how most coders get better, get more done, and why you see these people at the top just do so much in so little time. One thing to be careful here, however, is try not to overdo it. For me, usually being in the flow state and focused work for 4 hours is the perfect spot for me. It may be more or less for you, but typically I don't go over the 4 hour mark. Simply put, we have a limited amount of focus per day, and based off what I've researched and found, it's around 4 hours. And a quick example of what this may look like in your real life: today I was learning how to integrate API with ChatGPT, and that's something I've done before but I was never good at. So I pulled up a tutorial, I followed it a little bit, did my own thing as well, and that challenged me to do that thing. And guess what? I coded for 4 hours and I was good for the rest of the day. But when it comes to stuff like super challenging things like, I don't know, asynchronous functions, which I tend to have a hard time with, time just goes by so slow because it's so hard and daunting and hard that I'm just not at that level yet, and I accept that. So maybe that's something you can find into your life. Be humble about this. Know what you're good at. Know what you don't need to learn as much, but also understand that there are things that you just don't understand yet, and you're just not ready for. So find that middle ground, something you know, something you barely know, and do the work in between. I hope you found this video helpful. My name is Nizar, and I'll see you guys in the next video.